What's up, everybody? I am back with a new movie review this week, and this one is it takes me back, man. Right at like the height of DVDs was like really was popping off at the time, because it was just around that time when people was just getting used to like when DVD players was like really like a hot ticket item that everybody was trying to get at the time, because DVD sales, people was making money with DVD sales, and this movie fell into that climate. Double Take, starring Eddie Griffin, who's probably a little controversial right now because he has his own podcast, and definitely, I guess you can say, right leaning, more of like a black conservative, which is kind of like you would never like. You would never saw what if you would like transport back in time and said Eddie Griffin would probably be a little bit more conservative, in the future. You would think he was smoking crack. But times change, and of course, Orlando Jones, who is very funny. God, it's like I think the last time I seen Orlando Jones in anything was that American Gods TV show, but I'm pretty sure he's been in other stuff that I probably caught him in. But yeah, he's really good. Like, he's always good, but he has uh like a range, man. And I don't think Orlando Jones get enough props with his acting capabilities. Uh, but yeah, man, like, this takes me back. I remember wearing out the DVD of this movie as a kid because, you know, I still remember the funny moments. You know, uh, matter of fact, I cannot look at a Pepsi truck without thinking of this freaking movie. That's how, like, good. I mean, it did well in the box office back in the day, but it's just like, there's certain movies that wasn't like the big movies, but it's still enjoyable for you growing up. That it still like resonates. And we don't. This movie and the next movie I'll be reviewing after this, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. After rewatching these particular films, I'm sitting there like really taking a beat and just kind of just mulling it over. I might make a TikTok video out of this, but man, we really don't make, or at least Hollywood specifically, don't just make movies because out of the passion or the art or taking risk, mind you, like we used to back in, like, prior to the mid 2000s, where, well, like, not everybody really expect, like, a movie to just blow up. People take, like, reasonable budgets on certain projects. You don't have to worry about, like, okay, what big name actor can we get in this? It's like, is the story good? Like, the pitch well? Okay, let's go with it. This one wouldn't really fly. Movies like this will probably be, you know, considered maybe independent, or go directly to like Amazon Prime streaming or something or other. That that seems criminal to me as someone who loves film, like the art behind it, and the art and the science behind it. It's just like a shame. It's a real shame that Hollywood don't take risk on movies like this. You know, sure, it probably like did decently or maybe not so decently in the box office, but it might do well in terms of the DVD sales. But man, I freaking love this film. Sorry, I'm just kind of like veering off here. Let me get to like the meat and potatoes of the story. This is directed by George Gallo and written by George, who also did the first Bad Boys movie. I think he did a lot of like buddy cop type of films in his filmography. This is kind of based off of a book called Across the Bridge. It's like a British, no, not a book, a British film back in 1957, which I did not know that. There's also a short story from the 40s. Uh, Came out in 2001, so definitely like several months before 9/11. So there's always that, uh, canon events. Thank you for thanks to the Spider Verse, we can actually can utilize canon events as a topical term for turning points in particular history that we can see, like, okay, this is how, like, kind of like BCE kind of thing, where we can know, like, okay, where's the turning point for how we used to live our lives and now adjust it to a new way of going about it. Like the whole point of DVD sales or DVD players and the invention of that was a turning point. Raise of flip phones was a huge deal. Flip phones in this movie, it was like that was like a hot ticket item. That was like a turning point or canon event that shaped a lot of people's lives. 9/11, canon event that shaped a lot of people's lives. MCU, canon event, shaped a lot of people's lives, and how like Hollywood moved in the industry moving forward. Uh, we got Eddie Griffin as Freddie Tiffany, Orlando Jones as Daryl Chase, Gary Grubbs as Timothy McGrady, Edward Herman as Charles Allsworth, Gracelle Beauvoir as Chloe, Andrea Novato as McKay Sanchez, Sean Elliott as Minty Gutierrez, Sterling Macer Jr. as Agent Graney, Benny Neves as Agent Martinez, Daniel Roebuck as Agent Norvell, Vivica A. Fox as Sherry, and Pamela Cush as Nun, which I don't know why we need to highlight someone as like a bit. She only said like a hot minute, so it's weird. Anyway, so we are introduced to Daryl Chase, who is this big time investment banker. Clearly like high sedity type of like big wig, and he walking out of the building and get his briefcase stolen by some. Let's be real. This is like a big dude. Not even would be considered even like a quarterback of a big dude, but you let this dude was clearly, he's not fat by the traditional terms, but clearly big, but still, big enough where somebody like Orlando Jones could easily chase this guy down. But sure, he knocked him down, so he's got the wind knocked out of him. But we see Freddie Tiffany, who's dancing with some street performers, take him on and kick his butt and gets back the briefcase. Of course, as thanks, he pays Freddie $105 for stopping that criminal. And of course, moments later, he sees the criminal and Tiffany, kiki and haha across the street, and it's like, oh my god, I got scammed. So he chases after them, but they slip away. So of course now he's in a huff on his way to work. But then his assistant, like Vivica Shari, informs him about like a crazy chunk of money being deposited, $106 million to Daryl's bank, and you think it's like, okay, this is like like way like more than there's like necessary to be deposit. So he takes this information to CA, who forces him to like look into it and inform him immediately. So on his way back to his office, he sees Freddie Tiffany just in his office to pay him back the $5 he initially was going to give to Tiffany as thanks. I was like, first of all, why would anybody just think $5 would be enough of a thank you for stopping a criminal? It's not like if he was an old lady, then sure, like he gives like $5 as thanks. Sorry, 1 second here. Sorry, everybody. I had like a quick business call. A second here. Let me get back on the screen. Yeah, sorry. Had to take care of like our quick business call. Otherwise, it'll just been forever till I get that call back. One second. So where was I? Oh yeah. So it makes no sense because if any respectable person stopped a thief, especially if the person getting robbed is somebody clearly rich because they literally like they're in New York, so obviously this probably will be Wall Street. It would not make any sense to give like how cheap are you? You just like think $5 is sufficient enough a reward for stopping. Yeah, I mean like I think $100 it would have been like the basic would be like the basic average for somebody of that caliber as like a thank you for stopping a thief. Because especially if the briefcase filled with like a bunch of important information, uh, that kind of stuff is not something you want out. I think more than $100 would have been like, that's just me. I'm just thinking like, okay, like, okay, let me write you a check of maybe $500. Like, hey, this is like important information in this briefcase. If this got out or something, it would have been really bad. So here's a check for $500. Like, this is like, probably would have more suffice as like a generous like thank you reward. And especially if you got like cut by a knife, uh, you know, uh, from a sale that could have killed you over a briefcase. It's like, $5 would have been like the bare minimum. That's just my line of thinking. Anyway, but I thought it was like a funny little joke where he's just like giving back his $5 that technically was the initial thing he was gifting him. But he get Daryl gets him escorted off the premises. Uh, but on the way to this uh, uh, not gala, but it's kind of like a crap. What do you call those? Runway things where Daryl's girlfriend Chloe is one of the models, and of course you get Gabrielle, who clearly is like a stunner uh, in looks, and I'm pretty sure she modeled a lot, as I recall. The actress did a lot of modeling. I'm pretty sure because I know she's been in like her first like role was on the Jamie Foxx show as like the main lead female. But uh, crap, man. But anyway, so uh, Daryl looked into it, and their uh, uh, invest the person who made the deposit, uh, who went by one second, uh, Thomas Chelia, this Mexican bigwig, with his uh, girlfriend McKay, who's just all up on Daryl. Uh, uh, Clearly, like saying, "CA, this dude, something's up," because now, like, I might be on the hook for potential uh, money laundering, because the corporation deposit all this money is a complete fraud. So see, it's like telling like, don't worry about, we'll deal with this. But then here comes Freddie Tiffany, all up in this place, uh, and then of course like just cracking jokes, which as a kid, to some extent, at my age, I look back on it, it's like, yeah, this is still pretty doggone funny. Just cracking jokes on this dude's eye, just roasting mercilessly about this dude's eyeball. It's like, oh, I get it. You get where you can, scope on her without pissing her off. It's still good. It's like you just, I miss like those kind of roast sessions. It's like unrelenting. Uh, 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 Internationally known Freddie Tiffany. Matter of fact, I think like there's a good chunk of people will still look at Eddie Griffin as the internationally known Freddie Tiffany. Uh, uh, so uh, while Chloe and Daryl make their way to their home, they get assaulted by an assailant who is immediately taken out by two CIA agents bursting through. And uh, uh, McGrady and Martinez, who inform Daryl that there's some less than reputable people gunning for him. So uh, he's going to have Martinez look after them while he handles some business in Mexico. And he lets them know that there's a few people, one of them being Freddie Tiffany, that's working for these cartels that's going after him. So on his way back to the office the next day, uh, uh, two of those people who's supposed to be working for the cartel under the guise of CIA agents. Daryl uh, uh, runs away, gives him the slip, and goes to his secretary, Sherry's place, only to find her dead, and an assailant tries to take him out. Two cops show up. Daryl ducks, and the three end up taking each other out. And this dude is stupid enough to pick up one of the guns. And of course, a neighbor sees this and assumes that he's the one that behind this. Now he's on the hook. That was so dumb. Why would you pick up a gun? I understand why, but it still was dumb. Because you would have been able to, you ducked, so you've been able to see not only the cops are down, but clearly the bad guy is down. But I guess he doesn't know who else might pop up, I guess. But it was so stupid. Uh, so he quickly runs out of the apartment, uses a cell phone, which we still had payphones at the time, mind you. It's 2001. The payphones were still lingering before they was officially decommissioned by, let's say, like the mid 2000s, when there was like by that point they're completely gone from everywhere, around the world basically. uh I'm pretty sure there might be some in other countries, but I'm not sure. I doubt there's any left anywhere. uh Maybe like those like very poor countries, it's like barely got like cell service, so it's like if you're wandering in the middle of the road and there's some quick payphone there, maybe. Uh, uh, but he calls McGrady and states that what happened. So he suggests that he makes his way to Mexico and not talk with anybody. Don't use any credit cards. The typical, action drama thing in these types of films. So he's making his way to the train station, only to just get confronted by Freddie Tiffany. It's like, yo, bitch, just like loud and ghetto as possible. It's like, oh my god, it's still Eddie Griffin's antics really elevate the comedy. Normally, it's not a good sign you rest all the comedy on one character. I don't see it in this. I mean, he definitely takes the bulk of it, but it's evenly kind of spread out with Orlando Jones, and the and I mean, there's a few bits that's kind of funny from other people, but it's not like it's kind of like a very dry humor with a couple of other people. But yeah, I say like there's he's not carrying the bulk of the funnies, but we expect him to really bring in the funny. So, uh, uh, noticing there's people like following him, and Tiffany suggested, okay, we they end up exchanging clothes just to because people was looking for Daryl in like a suit and everything like that. So now looking at the size difference of Tiffany and Daryl, there's no way those clothes fit. I mean, they I'm pretty sure the wardrobe department and the director like kind of had this in mind, but clearly like with the actors being like one taller than the other, somehow, yeah, they got to make sure it still look like it doesn't fit too well on Orlando, but they still need to make it comfortable for him to move around in. So they kind of like gave it at least some length so he can be able to move the way he needs to move. Because it would have been like super tight on Orlando Jones for wearing clothes that would have been fit perfectly on somebody of Eddie Griffin's size. And obviously, Eddie Griffin would have been a lot leaner by comparison to Orlando Jones. So let's say like Orlando Jones at that time would have been wearing like a medium large at most, while Eddie Griffin probably would have been like a small to medium. So it's just it just seems like yeah, this is like I don't know, it doesn't look like, I don't know if they would have like sold it too well in the movie, where it's like, why is dude wearing like clothes that's not like fitting him all too well? It's like, I don't know, I'm nitpicking a little bit. It just kind of seems like a little because I get the thought process, you gotta switch clothes, but y'all don't wear the same clothes size. So I'm not sure how much you will be able to get away with, especially when Eddie Griffin's wearing the suit. Clearly, that looks like it's fitting pretty well, even though it shouldn't really work. It should be kind of hanging kind of loose, considering that he's not as tall as Orlando. But I'm nitpicking the clothes a little bit much. I want to stop pointing that out, that I noticed it. But it works. So they board a train, making its way to Mexico. And, hilarious antics come where one of the wait staff is giving Daryl, attitude. And despite, well, at least a couple of wait staff, despite Daryl being polite and one of the and making requests, you know, but considering like the clothes, they the way stuff kind of makes assumptions like, oh, he's just some ne'er do well, like, you know, and they give more politeness to somebody like uh, uh, Tiffany, who really leans into like the, you know, debonair attitude and like this like almost like an aristocratic, you know, type of bourgeois, you know, personality. Uh, like, please give my old chap whatever he wants. Thank you so very very much. Like, indubitably, it's like that, and and then it leads to this little back and forth because like, yeah, you need these kind of downtimes to gauge like the personalities and like the buddy cop thing, because you gotta have them have some kind of camaraderie at some point to really build up like a friendship. Where, you know, Tiffany points out, it's like uh 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 it's like, man, the dude, you gotta realize the clothes, it's all about the attitude and the clothes. It's pretty much like, you know, people just gives you, you know, kind of your respect, despite you being a black man. They gave you respect because, you know, the way, you know, not only just the way you carry yourself, but the clothes. They just make assumptions about your wardrobe attire that gives like an air of respectability, and you pretty much the same way that you kind of like forgot that because you live this kind of high sedity lifestyle where you just assume respect from everybody, but they just giving you because they just assume that you're somebody of note just by your wardrobe attire, not realizing, you know, and they assume the way that same way about me because I'm wearing your clothes. And you may, it's all about like prejudice, but not from like a racial standpoint, but it's more so just a class standpoint, which you probably won't really pick up on that kind of stuff on first watch because it's like kind of like a action comedy. But I like this little back and forth here where uh, we see that uh, there's like a bit of prejudice going on for as far as like the whole class system, where you make assumptions about me because you saw me wearing the street clothes, and I'm just got a kind of like a outward personality. Uh, you assume that I'm not educated. You assume a lot of stuff about me, but but you're supposed to be the smart guy. But I, you know, I'm wearing your nice little suit. I got your water money. I got your Rolex. But you're smarter than me. Uh, so I like that little dynamic. It's kind of give like a sense of perspective to Daryl, and of course that isn't like the me of the movie, but it's a nice little learning moment. Probably more so for the audience to a certain degree. I don't expect them to lean too far into that because it's not the type of film, but it's something that you kind of could, you know, parse you for yourself as an audience member. Is like, yeah, black people sometimes make assumptions about other black people just because, you know, because they both realize they gotta use street smarts and book smarts in order to get out of this little hiccup. But us as the audience can learn something, especially black audience, can learn that you shouldn't assume just because somebody is up here, they, you know, are better than you, or any other worse than you than anybody else. Uh, they just kind of like was probably motivated and got to where they are based on more often than not merit, and they apply themselves. But don't assume somebody just because they're down here, they're, you know, riffraff and idiots, but because they might end up surprising you. Uh, and their street smarts can get them just about as far as book smarts could get you, depending on where you apply it. But Daryl ends up telling Tiffany, about this situation. And then, of course, they notice, or at least Tiffany knows, that there's like a bald man sitting there, been telling them for a minute. So they end up taking the guy out. And the guy had like a picture of Daryl in his pocket. Oh, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because there's like a dinner scene where we see Orlando Jones really stress his like acting chops, because they're pretty much trading places. Not necessarily trading places, but kind of sorta, where you gotta lean into the wardrobe essentially. Tiffany's sitting there like leaning into the act of being like this big wig businessman, so he has to play the part to really sell it, while they're trying to avoid unwanted notice. So Daryl has to lean into in the costume as well. So he leans into the whole ghetto-ness, like, now that's my liquor. Well, ain't that some shit? And it's like, and he's loud and outwardly. And I love that they pretty much playing each other as, each other. And of course they clown the waiter, calling him like the dad from the Fresh Prince, and he just cracking jokes. So I like these moments like this. So they took out the bald guy, and of course, without realizing Daryl's looking, turns out that Tiffany knows the guy, which brings up ill feelings like before with the big dude that scanned him out of his money, and thought this was like another scam by Tiffany. And Tiffany ends up realizing, oh, there's a bounty on Daryl's whereabouts, $100,000. He makes sure that the newspapers don't get on board the train, and he has like a sit down with Daryl and explains that he is an FBI agent, that he's assigned to make sure he looks after him because he believes his story. But not buying it, Daryl knocks him out and tosses him off the train. But one of the waitstaff ends up kicking him off because Tiffany, while we saw him, have been partnering with this small dog named Dolores. So now, no pets on board the train. Dale gets kicked off with Dolores. So he's like, in Mexico, very close to the border. So he tried to find like a vehicle to get him the rest of the way. He gets to the border, and under the guise of like Freddie Tiffany, because he didn't realize that Freddie Tiffany is wanted for the murder of this governor of Mexico. So he speeds around back to Texas and gets caught by Tiffany. And using the distraction by the music in the radio, Daryl steals the car, leaving Dolores and Tiffany hanging on the side of the road. And Daryl ends up at this Emu Motel. He's trying to like contact McGrady, who says like, yeah, Tiffany was part of the bureau, but he was, fired because of mental instability. So, uh, uh, Tiffany ends up catching up to Daryl and admits that, yeah, that he put a tracker on his own clothes when they switch clothes, so that way he can always find them. And he lets him know, like, think about it, Daryl. How I'm able to know where your office is. How I know that you was gonna be at that train station. I'm able to like just pop up in places that I shouldn't be able to know where you are. And uh, uh, then we see like the whole Pepsi truck, Fiji water, all that stuff. And of course, this whole thing with the motel owner who was going to turn in Daryl thinking he's Freddie Tiffany. Like a big massive shootout happened, and the motel owner uh, 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 holds Daryl at gunpoint and takes him on a ride to Mexico, where the sheriff, thinking there's gonna be like a big payout, uh, waits for McGrady to pick him up. Uh, then Daryl, on some uh, usual suspects moment here, where he kind of pieced together what Tiffany's been telling him, uh, which includes like not trusting McGrady. He sees a picture of the governor of Mexico who was murdered, had Dolores as his pet. You know, he knows all the like the bite marks on McGrady is similar to how he got bit by Dolores, which comes to realization that McGrady is you know uh, uh, a dirty agent, and he also knows the assassin that was trying to was attacking him and his girl in his apartment is somehow still alive outside hanging with Martinez by their car. So he slips out, runs away, and he bumps into the two agents that was at his office along with Tiffany. And it turns out the black agent kills the white agent. He truly is dirty. And so uh, he makes his way to uh, to uh, uh, what is it? Thomas Chella's house, which turns out that's like a fake name. His name is like Minty Gutierrez, uh, who is a cartel boss. And I don't know why he couldn't just wait until all of them in the car before he turns on them. Because they, Tiffany uh, and Norville, their guard would have been down, giving uh, 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 Graney the opportunity to pull out his gun because he was behind the wheel of the car. He pulled his gun, and since now I'm thinking about it, Tiffany and Chase would have been in the back seat. They would have been able to, at the very least, prevent him from, because he can't turn around that easily or that quickly, because he had to take out like the passenger. Then he has to like then make a turn to shoot the other two in the back. Once they notice him reaching for his gun, having to shoot the passenger first because he's the one with the potential to get him quicker. Tiffany and Daryl could have just easily, stopped his hand from going any further back to aim properly. So yeah, now I'm thinking about it, like he had to tell, but it's just like I don't know. It just seems like he would have like, at least an opportunity to wait until he get them alone with the guards down, so he can actually take them all out. But anyway, he drives off with Dolores in the back seat. Uh, so uh, realizing, okay, we gotta finish this. So they concoct a scheme in order to rescue Chloe, because Chloe's been looked over, uh, looked after by McGrady and Martinez. So they end up bringing her to Mexico. Uh, uh, so uh, turns out McKay is not only the wife of Tiffany, but is also an no, not CIA. I've been using CIA a lot. They all pretty much been FBI. Uh, uh, Turns out she's an FBI agent as well. So her cover is blown, but uh, you know, Tiffany shows up, being brought up into the mansion, and turns out it was Daryl. They closed the switch back, and I didn't notice this as a kid, but rewatching this, I noticed that Tiffany slipping in through one of the windows because the camera wasn't on him. He was like, he's in the background, but it's like very off a little bit. So if you're hyper focused, you see him slipping in. So I thought like, oh wow, I did not notice this. So I thought that was pretty dope. So they put the jump on them. They did another switcheroo, and kudos to part of me feels like there was either Orlando Jones is a very good impressionist of Eddie Griffin, or it's just Eddie Griffin's voice ADR'd, because it probably was ADR'd a bit because his back was turned for most of the time as he's being brought in. But I like the whole switcheroo, like because everybody only been seeing Daryl in Tiffany's clothes and vice versa. So they put the drop on him, and realizing CA was a part of this, and they was responsible for killing Gutierrez, the governor of Mexico, not Gutierrez, but the governor of Mexico, and they kicked up a lot of this crap because he wouldn't get on board with their plan. So they end up killing him, and Tiffany was supposed to have been like kind of like his handler, and since he showed up at his place, they kind of pinned everything on Tiffany, is why he's been like working this case with a few friends in order to get to the bottom of this and clear his name. But it turns out Minty purposely sent that large sum of money to Daryl and CA that kind of tipped everything off, because he's been working with the FBI agents like Tiffany and McKay, who he knew were part of the FBI, because $600 million of $1 million of his money was frozen in that's in America, was frozen. In order for him to get it back, he had to work with them in order to catch all the people involved with this murder case, like McGrady, Martinez, Grady, CA, and which is like to everybody, shocked, like, you started all this. I was like, yeah, like, I need to get my money back, and I didn't want to go to jail, so yeah, I did. Uh, uh, but uh, then the assassin from earlier in the film comes in, gun pointed at Chloe. Uh, uh, Tiffany shoots him dead. Then everybody starts, pulling out their guns. They take out all the bad guys. But Tiffany gets wounded in the shoulder by McGrady. Daryl tries to shoot him back, but he missed every shot, making the whole entire thing pointless. It was like, dude, you are horrible. It's like I love this little response from Tiffany, like, man, you really are from Wall Street. You didn't hit a damn thing. But McGrady says like I never missed my shot, but you technically did because you shot the dude in the shoulder. If you was a good shot, you would have like took his head off. But Dolores bites McGrady again. He ends up shooting himself in the foot, falling down the stairs, and keeps shooting himself over and over again until he falls at the last step, shooting himself in the doggone head. It was kind of gruesome if you think about it. Then the CA gets arrested along with a bunch of other people, and turns out that Sherry, the assistant angle was all a cover. She's actually an FBI agent as well. Much to Daryl's relief that she's alive. So now that everything's clear, Daryl and Chloe are best friends with McKay and Tiffany. They're hanging out at a beach in Malibu, where while Daryl is signing the checkbook for their meal, there's a whole thing with a pen they set up in the middle of the movie where for some doggone reason he has like a whole case of these doggone things. Not sure why. If you only need the one, like in James Bond, there's like a whole thing with the exploding pen, and it's like you don't give him a bunch of pens when you only need the one. Why do you have a bunch of the pens where you get mixed up together if you need the one that will summon a strike team to your area in less than 20 seconds? So Daryl had it the whole entire time and summoned the strike team that comes very quickly, and the movie ends with like all the beachgoers are freaking out, and Tiffany kind of tells them like stand down and everything like that. So it ends on a hilarious note, and that was Double Take. Funny film, just like a nice little action comedy romp that you just tend to miss nowadays because you don't get that much nowadays, especially not in the directly to the theater. They usually send these kind of things to directly to streaming sometimes. But man, I miss like movies like that we had back in the early 2000s where it's just like it might not do crazy well, but it'll still be like a fun stuff. Like, there's like a funny buddy cop film playing at theirs. Let's go check it out. This is like nice little fun date night or out with the family, something like that. We don't get that much nowadays because movies tend to be over freaking bloated with their budgets, and it's not worth it nowadays, especially with the cost of the ticket prices and concession stands. A movie has to be worth it nowadays to go to the theater. It's kind of crazy and a shame. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of Double Take. Highly recommend you just check it out. It's a fun movie. You might get a kick out of it. I definitely did, and definitely Like I watched like quite a few times, back in the day. This is really really fun. Anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit as I will review Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the Brad Pitt Jolie version, not the stupid Childish Gambino version. The TV version that does not work whatsoever. I forgot to put on the list of crappy shows that I watched back in 2024. I didn't think I put that on my list, but just want to point that out because the race swaps doesn't work all the time. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Take care.